Hello everyone, Floppy Waffle 69 here, and for today's video, we are looking at our next ship going down the line. On the downly line, we have the Tier 7 Minsk. Now, the Minsk for me was a little bit of a struggle bus. And that being said, on the contrary, the, I guess, sister ship to this would be the Leningrad, the premium Tier 7. I find it's an absolute blast, as they did make some slight adjustments to that ship as well. One of the big things giving it is a torpedo reload booster. But we're not looking at the Leningrad, we're looking at the Minsk. And there were some significant changes that Wargaming did do to this ship. One being that they did actually raise or increase the torpedo range from the abysmal 4-kilometer torpedoes that we still had from the low tier all the way down to Tier 7. They finally gave her 7-kilometer torpedoes. Now, also, another reason that I didn't find this ship particularly fun, and I don't know if it's you guys, there is a select handful of ships at Tier 7 that are incredibly strong. Haida being one, the Huron, some notable ones, right? Like that. But the vast majority of the tech tree Tier 7 DDs I find to be rather lackluster. And why is that? Well, I understand there's a balancing thing they have to do because they have to factor across the spectrum. 7s can also see Tier 5s as well as seeing Tier 9s. But the big thing for me is that they don't have access to the 5th slot for upgrades, and they can't slot that concealment module. So a lot of the time, these Tier 7 DDs do have higher than normal concealment values for their tier. They're starting to definitely be able to pump out the damage now, per se, with your torpedoes and your guns and whatnot. But again, for concealment purposes, because they can't slot that 5th slot, it does make them a little bit more detectable and harder to play around, especially when you're getting up to Tier 8s and 9s. You can slot that, and it's very painful to do so. So that is one thing that I'm sure 100% is a factor to why I didn't really enjoy this ship. But this is the ship, and I mentioned this in the Pavorsky video, and I mentioned it a little bit in the Ganevny video. There is one ship in this line that I actually would recommend taking the smokescreen consumable rather than the heel. And it is indeed the Tier 7, the Minsk. Now, why do I recommend doing that? Well, one, you actually start having access to radar. Fighting up against radar, right? And like that's premium radar. So your Indianapolis, your Atlanta, your Belfast. So you're going to have to be cautious of those 3 ships. And yes, you can go into Tier 8 games and Tier 9 games, and radar, again, is more prominent, more prevalent. So you're going to have to be aware of that as well. But for me, the heel on this thing, for the ships that you're going to be fighting, as you're generally going to be up-tiered, the carriers are going to be able to do way more to you. I find having that ability, and the smokescreen they have is really good, but having that ability to fall off of detection kind of at free will, as long as your smoke charge is up, and your smoke charge is relatively faster reloading, that I find, is just, in my opinion, outweighs the use of the heel. Now, again, when we continue up this line, I will recommend going back to the heel. So this is the only kind of, the one ship in the line that I would recommend taking the smoke screen. And again, if you're you might disagree with me. I played this ship countless times, and the amount of times that I played the heel and had a quicker game than normal, rather I had the smoke screen and had my game elongated and lasting and either surviving the battle, was just, it outweighed it. It outweighed the heel, in my opinion, and that's why I'd highly recommend it. It's one of those things that's like, you gotta trust me, bro, kind of thing. As I don't have any like hardcore data to back up what I'm trying to tell you. I'm just saying this is what works for me, and I do recommend the smokescreen in general for players that are newer to the Soviet DD line or newer to DD gameplay in general. But yeah, it's just a good mix of being able to increase my survivability and my game impact rather than running around with the heel. So let's go. We're going to do like we always do. We're going to go dig around the hood, go over some soft stats, and eventually I will show you some gameplay. Now, disclaimer, the gameplay is not anything special. It's almost like it's just footage and kind of like highlighting some things that I talked about previously, like in this part of the video, or that I'm talking about. It's not like I'm bragging about the video or anything like that about what I can do. It's just trying to show you kind of like what your average games are going to look like that you're going to see in these ships. And I definitely think the Tier 7, I'm doing slightly less than I would do in like a Ganevny. And again, very matchmaker dependent. And it's just one of those things where it's extremely detectable. So, but anyways, let's get into the stats here. So armor layout, 16 millimeter nose, 16 millimeter ass, is 16 millimeter side plating. Again, nothing out of the ordinary here. This is all par for the course. Should be pretty self-explanatory. Survivability, you are clocking in at, yeah, hold on, I was looking at the wrong thing. You are clocking in at the 15,100. The Leningrad has 100 HP more than you, whatever. It's like an extra over penetration maybe you can take. Decent HP pool though. But now we're going to go to the artillery, and this is the with the gun firing angles and all that stuff. Again, the gun firing angles of this ship are not the best. I find I'm having to swivel a lot more, especially this number 3 and 4 turret, to get them online. These turrets do not turn 360, as you know. They do go the old 180 degrees, which these guns do reload in 5 seconds. 180 degree turn time is actually not 10.4 because I recommend with the ship, like I have previously on my previous video guides, recommending the main battery modification to help turn your turret traverse a little bit faster for you guys. You are going to notice it. That's going to help you out, at least in my opinion. And I think base on this thing is 12 seconds. This thing used to be way, way worse with this, so there's a huge buff to the ship. Again, I think it's allowing you to choose if you want to take the option on taking that, and maybe now you can actually take aiming systems. And that's fine. For me, I'm still going to run. I'm still going to run the turret traverse because it's just, again, 10.4 seconds is a lot faster than 12. Minuscule, but it's going to just be better. It's more comfortable for me to play, basically. Maximum range is 12.2 kilometers. Again, there is an argument to be made. Hey, Waffle, when you're looking at your captain build, why did you not spec into giving yourself more range? And that directly comes down to what I'm trying to say is with the turret traverse. Since I'm not taking aiming systems mod, I don't feel comfortable with my accuracy at ranges extending past 12.2, and I think that's more than enough. Granted, you're going to run into 12-kilometer radar now, and that's going to be a problem, but again, I wouldn't personally be picking engagements with any Soviet ships as they're higher than normal shell velocity. Barrel speed is going to be easier for them to hit you and kind of nullify your speed advantage. Also, it's a cruiser, so you got to be, pick your spots. You got to be careful for that. So that's the reason why I go with what I go with. Going over the high explosive shells, you have 1900 HE alpha with an 8% fire chance, and you are going to be able to penetrate 22 millimeters of armor. With that armor piercing, now you have 2500 maximum shell damage with that. When you do look at the AP shells, again, standard ricochet angles, they can overmatch 9 millimeters of armor, which is, again, what the hell, doesn't really matter. And then at 12 kilometers, they are penetrating around 65 millimeters of effective armor. And their standard fuse times at that 0.010 second fuse time. So, again, like I talked about previously, these AP shells are, extremely potent, especially when you get, like, battleship and cruiser broadsides. You'll see good examples of that going on into the video later on. So, torpedoes, 2x4 533 millimeter torpedoes. They have a 180 degree turn time of 7.2 seconds and reload about 80 seconds, which is not too bad. They do have the maximum range of 7 kilometers, maximum damage of 14,400 with a 60 knot speed with a detectability of 1.2 kilometers. This is giving enemy ships around a reaction time of the 7.4 seconds to react. One thing I would not recommend doing in this ship is actually speccing any skill or upgrade that is going to up your torpedo speed. Now, why is this? Your detection with a full stealth build, I believe, is a 6.8 fully rigged. Okay, your torpedoes travel 7 kilometers. Already finding that stealth torpedo wall is already going to be small anyways. Personally, I'd rather have slower torpedoes to give your torpedoes the time they need to travel while having faster ships sail towards you so they hit the torpedoes within the 7 kilometer range. If you understand what I'm saying. It's actually very, very smart, and it's something I've used on a lot of destroyers that have shorter torpedo ranges. I want to keep their torpedoes actually slower so that, again, I can kind of launch them outside of my torpedo range, but hopefully the enemy ship's speed sails them into the range of my torpedoes when they hit, so they can still hit. So that's the strategy with that, guys. A defenses, useless, really. They are really useless on this thing. But yeah, it's just completely, utterly useless. So don't even really pay it too much mind. Um, Going over to the maneuverability now of the Minsk, and it's actually not that bad. 43 knots of speed, which is definitely nice with that 690 meters turning circle radius, with the 3.7 second rudder shift time. Guys, this ship definitely is not slow. You've noticed that from going down the line, starting already at the Pavorsky. Like these ships are fast, and again, you're probably saying, well, this ship, if it's that fast and decently maneuverable with a rudder shift time of 3.7 seconds, then why are you not running a heel? Again, guys, it just comes down to what I felt worked for me at the tier. Obviously, at tier 7, I'm finding myself going in more tier 8 games. Not as much tier 9 games, but definitely a lot more tier 8 games. And I'm just finding the smoke screen, especially when I'm fighting the likes of like Akatsuki's and certain ships like that are just going to be way more superior gunboats than mine. Especially with like main battery reload booster with like the Literable, or not Literable, the Lee Fantastic and all that stuff. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to go with the smoke screen. It's going to allow my vessel to do just a little bit more in combat, which again is going to be great. We don't want to die. Going over to the concealment values, standard, like coming fresh out of the gate when you get this ship, it is clocking in at the 7.5 kilometer detection by sea. That is a yikes. It is definitely not good, and you have that 3-kilometer smoke firing penalty as well. But if you get your commander on there, you do have a 6.8-kilometer detectability by sea. As you know, I only have a 10-point commander, but I do have it laid out on my, in the beginning of this video about what I would do if I did somehow manage to get a 21-point commander. But I can tell you there is no way in hell I will get a 21-point commander on this thing unless I have sheer fucking will or perseverance, because it's just not a fun ship for me. I had way more fun with the Ganymede and way more fun with the Pavorsky and fun with ships past this tier than I did the Minsk, in my opinion. So... But anyways, guys, some final thoughts here before I show ahead and show the gameplay. Yeah, to me, this is a little bit of a sore spot in the line. I still think this ship is a little bit subpar compared to other DDs at this tier. Can it do well? Absolutely, guys. It does come down to the commander at the end of the day. There's certain decisions that are made. And, I mean, what the hell the other captains on the opposing team, on red team, are going to do? If they're going to charge right in there and YOLO you, I mean, absolutely, you're going to have a heyday. But these ships do, to me, scream... support destroyers. That second level, that second layer of destroyer is kind of what these DDs, in my opinion, do scream. So that's how I'd recommend playing them. As I played them previously, that's what I would do. So anyways, guys, enough of me blabbering on. Let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty, guys, and here we are in battle now in the Minsk. Yeah, and as you can see, I'm in my I'm divved up with my good buddy here, Mikey Goalie 33. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do kind of get that guy on the channel here and have him talk about some ships too. He has some good opinions and good takes on a lot of vessels too, especially when it comes to the German battleships. We're gonna have to hop him on here whenever I do that line. But yeah, enough about that. So in game here, the Minsk. This is an okay battle. It's not bad. I will say this though, flat out just a spoiler. We do fucking lose this game, and the only reason we lose this game is because our aircraft carrier doesn't understand the power of CV spotting. And you're going to see that. So it's 100% a loss thank you to, or not 100%, like 90% loss based on our Ranger player. So fucking rights, GG. But yeah, so as you're going to see, the couple tips that I recommend using with the Minsk. One is we can be aggressive in the essence that I can create my own cover, not be aggressive as I know I can trade HP more effectively. Obviously, I know I have, with the survivability flag mounted, 18,450 on this bitch. So I know that I have a little bit of leeway with that. And I know that the enemy DDs that I'm playing against, which I forget exactly who they are. I don't want to be too aggressive, as the biggest threat to this thing isn't actually the enemy DDs. It's the enemy cruisers and battleships going to be shooting you. Again, that's probably the vast majority for a lot of things. But yeah, so I'm just going to dump my torpedo load out to where I think he's going to go if he's going to contest the cap. And we're just going to see if we can capture this point. While maintaining a decent enough angle to, angle against potentially incoming torpedoes is kind of my thought process here. But what I recommend with the Minsk is, honestly, if you're running the smoke screen, you can definitely go into the cap, because if you get lit and people start shooting at you, you can 100% fall off and disengage. Whereas the heal, you really don't have that. You have to turn around and you can potentially heal. And again, who knows if that's gonna, you're gonna be able to out heal the incoming damage that you're receiving at that point. So Again, Russian or Soviet DDs don't really. I wouldn't say they're really good cap contesters, anyways. There might be the you know, the one or two that are decent, but like in general, they're not like a great cap contester. So, the enemy Konigsberg, Schonsberg, my bad, showed himself here. So we're gonna go ahead and open up. As you can see, the great shell velocity is comfortable. You're gonna be finding your shells landing a little bit more on target than they normally would, or in other DD lines. It's nice to not have floaty DD shells for once, which is great. And that's one of the things you're going to get with this. You're going to get definitely more artillery-focused gameplay. And I think you're going to get more reliable, I guess more reliable hits on target just because of that shell velocity. Of course, here is a prime example of, if I smoke up, why the fuck did the Fusion smoke up? Don't understand. This is, again, when it sucks when you're playing random battles because you're not a mind reader here, so... but yeah, we're going to go ahead and take this guy out. Again, he is just completely overextended, and his heal ain't going to save him, and his lack of DPMs ain't going to save him either, especially when neither of us are detected. So, yeah. But yeah, so obviously we're going to, the cap is ours. We eventually capped it, and we got an enemy DD down for the count, which is already a great start to the game. So you'll love seeing that. Now, my initial thought is because we eliminate the enemy destroyer on this side, we're going to be just a little bit more aggressive, and we're going to start seeing if we can put ourselves in some advantageous positions to help our team out and continue to give them vision. Which, again, is important. I think every cruiser and especially battleship player out there loves when their DD players are not sitting in smoke trying to farm, but actually spotting the target, so that if a cruiser tries to go broadside and try to do the full game return and disengage, they're lit, and you can basically punish them heavily for it. So that's definitely one tool I have, especially with these ships. I mean, they are fast, and they're allowing to do that, so you're going to have to be a little bit more conscientious if you are running the smoke screens, especially when it comes to this vessel. Just don't linger in it too long. You are very long, as you can see by, the ship on screen here in the Minsk. It is a very long ship. Yeah, the 3.7 rudder shift. Yeah, the 690 millimeter, meter turning circle radius is quite long for its tier. I believe it's tied for the second spot, the first only coming to the Tashkent 39, which again is copy pasta ship with a little bit of adjustments of the Tashkent at tier 9 of this line, which we'll look at later on. So definitely do not linger in your smoke screen, and for the love of God, do not sit, broadside on in your smoke screen, as that's just welcoming torpedoes to smoke your broadside. So please, you have to be moving in your smoke screen and be conscious and just don't linger too long. Your primary concern is eliminating the enemy destroyers first, so that you can actually then utilize your smoke screen to its fullest, and rather not sit there and be a torpedo magnet. Now this is interesting. I don't understand this one. To me, this New Mexico, why would he not kind of come out on an angle and, kind of sail more broadside? I really don't understand, unless this guy is a phenomenal player and I severely underestimated this guy. To do a full gamer turn like this from where he was sitting, it doesn't make any logical sense to me. And it should have been a dev strike on New Mexico, unless he knew that I was there, which I wasn't spotted. Maybe just he had a gut feeling. I really have no idea. But you look at this. Like, what is he, like, why would you do that maneuver? That makes no fucking sense to me. But whatever. Incredibly frustrating, because that would have been a dev struck New Mexico for you guys, and it would have been one less battleship for my div mate and Warspite back there to worry about. But whatever. The guy somehow has the crystal ball to realize that torpedoes were coming, so good for him, I guess. I'll tip my hat to that, if that is that. Or it's just one of those scenarios where the player is just so incredibly bad that he happened to get lucky enough to just fucking full send it, and just maybe his E key got stuck or some shit. I don't know. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and start a fire on him, which is great. That 8% fire chance with the flags, I believe, are getting to like 9, 9.5, potentially even 10. I'm not 100% sure on that. I have to double check that, but I think it's up to 9. With the demolition expert is 10, right? So. But yeah, so we went ahead and started a fire on him. He's going to let it tick, which is, I guess, smart. And we're kind of waiting for our torpedoes to get back up. Again, with the 80-second torpedo reload time, it's incredibly comfortable on this thing. I believe that Genevny high 80s or 90s, if I'm not mistaken. I have to double check on that. But yeah, so the torpedoes definitely feel like they're coming up a little bit faster for you, which is nice. Now, in the beginning of the video, when I was kind of being pretty hard critique on this vessel, I don't want to say that this vessel is bad. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying compared to what we've already seen and what we've already played, per its tier, I feel like this ship is a little bit of weaker, in my opinion, than what we already had. So that's all I'm trying to say when I'm saying what I'm saying here. So don't take it like this ship sucks. I'm definitely not saying the ship is ass. It is fully capable, but it is just a little bit more of a chore to play. That's why you won't see me playing this thing. I just find there are other ships that are either more fun, more competitive, and just fit my play style of DDs that I like a little bit more, which is crazy because I do love the Habrosk, and it's my favorite DD, and you would think that all these ships would be an instant love for me, but no, it's most certainly isn't. So, all right, so now my next tip that I would do on this thing, again, how do you know when to shoot armor piercing in this thing? For me, I think it is when you are within 9 kilometers of ships that are broadside to you. I would switch to the armor piercing that are cruisers or battleships. Obviously, you have to make sure your shells are landing. So firing AP at like the longer ranges, going up to 10, 11, 12 doesn't really make too much sense because your dispersion values aren't that good, as you're kind of handicapping them slightly because I'm taking the main battery mod 2 in the 3rd slot. So my bread and butter is mainly going to be HE, especially with the 130 schmil I have on this thing. The HE is going to already pen 22 millimeters of armor, which again is going to be great. Plus the great fire starting chance of the vessel itself is not too shabby. So you're just going to have to pick your spots. I will be loading the AP like on this New Mexico, for example, as we get a little bit closer. But again, notice how I'm not opening up right now. I'm sailing a little bit closer, getting closer, closing the gap just ever so slightly, and then I will go ahead and smoke up, and I will start opening up on this guy. So also, I don't want to be in secondary range of the Scharnhorst 43, assuming that he is a full secondary build of the 9.5 kilometers, and open firing on that just to take unnecessary damage that I just don't need to take. So, but going over the consumables again, this just carries on your for the healing. It does have the 14%, and again with the smoke screen, you do have the 20-second disperse time, or 20-second time action time of your smoke screen with the 85-second dispersion with the 450 millimeter radius of the smoke. It's not a bad smoke, guys. It's certainly not American or Pan Asian, but it is good. So you're definitely going to get the fullest and the most out of this smoke screen, which is great. And it's going to allow you to do exactly what I'm doing here. I'm allowing basically to farm this New Mexico without a fear in the world of getting any return fire unless they get happy enough to blind fire in return. Here's some good examples of the armor piercing working for you guys here, chunking the absolute fucking broadside of this New Mexico. Very, very strong. And eventually, when you eventually get to, like, if you happen to have the Habrosk or you play the Kabrosk before or whatever, the 8 guns of the 130, man, that's a heavy broadside for armor piercing. I mean, it's not uncommon for me when I'm playing that thing to get anything over 4K on a broadside on a battleship, which is huge. That's huge, and that's pen damage mostly. So, really nice artillery on these Soviet DDs. Again, if you are wondering, it does carry over to like the Grozovoy line. Soviet guns are Soviet guns, all 130s. All feel comfortable to shoot. The lead time is not as much as you need on other nations. And yeah, you're going to be reliably hitting your target more so. So, yeah, definitely feels nice, guys. Definitely feels nice. So, again, using our smoke screen to the fullest here, and then we're going to go ahead and use the island. Now, you will find me, again, taking more risks here later on game because we're getting down to the wire. I have my HP stored up or saved up from the battle in itself, so I will be starting to fire more in open water just to start getting these, trying to help and aid my ships to getting these ships killed. We need to start racking up some kills here and closing the gap between enemy vessels alive compared to enemy ships that are still alive and allied ships that are still alive. So obviously we are down by 2 kills, but we are up in the points department, or is that the bug? That might be the bug. Yeah, it's the bug, I think, of the replay. So we are down in points as well. So this is again why I'm taking more chances. Of course, where you don't want to be point blank range of a Scharnhorst 43 with his secondaries hitting up, but again, I'm trying to get to this island get to that coverage. So doing what I can to utilize islands to my advantage here. I believe that York though still has me, and he is going to hit me pretty hard. So that kind of sucks. And at first glance, I'm looking at these torpedoes. I'm like, oh, it's a dead Shard horse. But yeah, he somehow manages to squeak the gap there of my torpedoes. You know, a battleship-sized gap that all torpedoes happen to have, which does bite ass. But I will say this: a good thing about this compared to like the Ganevny, I believe the Ganevny did it have the triple launchers? I'm not 100% sure if the Ganevny had the triple launchers. Let me look at that real quick. No, okay. No, it did. It did have. So you do have the quad launchers again, which are not the best torps. I told you the quads always happen to have massive gaps. So another reason why the Ganevny felt more comfortable was it had the triple torpedo tubes, which the torpedo dispersion with the triples just seems so much better than those with the quads. So, just my opinion, though. Again, if you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, think I'm crazy, just tell me to fucking, shut the fuck up, because it's just something that I've noticed after playing this game for I don't know how many years, that quad launch torpedoes just fucking suck ass with their dispersion. So again, some more chunking shots here on the New Mexico's broadside. He is healing because the USN battleships, like we've already covered, have that little bit of improved heal on their vessel, which is super comfortable for them, because trust me, the New Mexico needs that. But yeah, like the armor piercing, look at that dispersion. So again, it's trade-offs, like if you're gonna sit there and be like, well, can you get away without running the main battery? Yes, the answer is 100% yes. If you can manage your turret placement and know to engage targets on where they're gonna be, absolutely you can get away with it. The problem is I find myself when I fight enemy destroyers to get them out, at the game, if I'm in close like that, especially real in type, my turrets do take a long time to get up, and I constantly have to swivel my ship even more so to get my turrets online. Whereas now, not that I could sail on a straight line, because I obviously don't recommend that. It's just a little bit more comfortable for me that I can actively maneuver without having to, turn left and then I have to slightly turn back right to allow my guns to fire because my turrets are still playing catch me up. That's basically the main reason why I run the main battery mod too. So, but yeah, as you can see, like the game is certainly close. And I believe our Fusion does eliminate the York. And my initial, thought was, hey, I have to go back and help the Warspite because that slow-ass Dreadnought is going to get eaten alive by the Cachalot. It's going to be painful. And we've all been there in these low-tier battleship Dreadnoughts that go like 20 knots. And a submarine just chews you alive. As the Ranger is beelining it for the behind this island, I'm like, yeah, this is definitely the play for me. I'm going to do this as the Fusion's going to hopefully eliminate the York. And then going to Cat B for us would be my plan. So, but yeah, definitely stay tuned and keep watching the end of this game, because it's incredibly frustrating to what happened. And I don't feel like this is uncommon. Maybe the guy was learning aircraft carriers. I don't know. Also, frankly, I don't care, because you have to learn one way or another. And he definitely cost us this game. It was a big reason why this game was lost. So. But yeah, we go ahead and we spot the enemy submarines. We know his exact location. The Warspite's going to go ahead and drop ASW on that location for him. And I'm going to continue to go close the gap to spot this guy. On a side note, though, I kind of wish that, I understand like if you hit the sub, there is oil splashes or something like that. I kind of wish that if you hit the submarine with ASW, maybe like with the explosion of the ASW going off, maybe like could be like black and showing like debris getting flung up with it would be kind of cool, rather than just the oil splashes that, like you obviously can damage control because you get hit and then that's over time. Whereas I would like to see something more immediate, say, oh yeah, you fucking got a hit, so that other allies would know, oh, we hit that enemy submarine. But I don't know if that would throw the out of whack, the balance out of whack or whatnot. It would just my opinion, though. So, but here we go. So this is the final leg of the battle with the Minsk. Again, we've kind of progressed past. I'll make sure to do some final thoughts in the post-battle screen here. My initial thought here is, okay, the aircraft carrier is going to spot the DD. That's inevitably going to be capping B. I'm going to release my torpedo load on the New York, and I'll get a double strike, and then we're going to win this game. All he had to do was spot the enemy DD. Instead, we see damage numbers. We have to get our damage. He's going to go after the New York, and the New York is going to maneuver and completely dodge all my torpedoes. So frustrating, losing my mind, trying to reinforce, hey, stop, don't go after that guy. Don't go after that guy. And he goes after the guy. Ugh, just even now watching the replay of this fucking battle, just witnessing the throw is, it's incredibly frustrating. So, but as you see, there goes my torpedo load, right, whipping past the McPhee 1 in the New York. At least we got some hits on the Mitsuki or Minakaze, who is still undetected. Good stuff. Good stuff. Don't know what the fucking Lowenhart's bitching about. I guess his team's YOLOing, which is hysterical because they end up winning the game anyway, so whatever. Yeah, initial thought here. I'm going to go ahead and hit the Königsberg. Only reason I didn't switch to AP is because HE is going to be consistent damage, so even if I get a couple hits, I'm still going to kill him. Now the Minakaze smokes up, so he's basically never going to get killed. My torpedoes can't reach that, and the New York is beached. You know, I guess the only thing I would do differently in this situation was just fucking sail in there like a dumbass, and maybe we would have won this game. But fuck me, I'm getting just choked thinking about this. This Ranger player, Sunlight. And Jesus Christ. He needs to shed some light on his gameplay by watching some fucking YouTube videos, for fuck's sakes. Ugh. But whatever. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I looked up his stats. I'm just pretty sure he's new and he's just playing bad, but whatever. But yeah, crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Definitely a winnable game that was lost. So, but enough about that. As we see the game ticking down in the background, this is a defeat. Yada yada yada. Boom. That sucks ass. But going over, some final thoughts about the Minsk guys. Yeah, I don't really. I don't like this ship. The Leningrad is just flat out better. I played about 15, 20 games. 5 with heal, 15 with the smokescreen. And I knew that the smokescreen was the play. Even when this ship was top tier, I was using the heal. I still didn't like it with the heal. So that's why I actually opted for the smoke and why I, recommended the smoke for you guys. With that also being said, the Minsk is just, it doesn't feel good. The Leningrad, the premium version of this ship, just feels more comfortable to play. Even because maybe it just has 8-kilometer torpedoes and a little bit stealthier at 6.6 kilometers. I don't know. But that thing still has the horrendous turret traverse of the 27-second 180-degree turret traverse. So maybe I'll have to do a review on that ship later on down the road. But yeah, this ship is, it's not for me. It's not a fun ship. It is capable, but it's just not that fun compared to what we've seen and what you will eventually see when we continue down the line of the Delny. But again, if you disagree with me, if you actually have a blast in the ship and think it's a lot of fun, yeah, honestly, that's your opinion. That's great. It's just letting you know what this ship worked for me, but also didn't work for me, if that makes sense. It's just not consistent enough. Not fun. You're very matchmaker dependent, right? It's just World of Warships in 2025, whatever the fuck. It's a flip of a coin. But yeah, it's a decent little tier 7 destroyer. So if you you should have no problem going through her. But definitely the more enjoyable experience, more competitive aspect of it is going to be with the smoke screen for sure. So anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video here. Also stay tuned. I'm going to be releasing a lot more videos here coming up. If you like the videos, please like and subscribe. So anyways, I will see myself out. You all have a good one. Peace the fuck out.